It's time for another 10 Things video. We're gonna talk about tools. The 10 Things video series is being sponsored by Nomad Internet. Use discount code CrystalVanner25. As a reminder, this channel does not produce content for children. I've decided that the 10 Things series needs to go on into May. I've been so extremely busy with Mona that I haven't done as many as I really wanted to before getting the BF to choose the one that you guys decided that you wanted to have me do. Now, I'm going to link above the first video because there was a homework assignment there, and you need to go to that video and go to the comments of that video and enter your suggestions for the subscriber choice 10 Things video. Probably going to go ahead and do that video closer to the middle of May. So I want to do this video and maybe 2 more 10 Things video before I do the subscriber choice one. This one is all about tools. These videos are my opinion. I must say there was quite a little bit of discussion in the comments section of the last one about what's important to start van life over. And those were the 10 things that I personally, in my opinion, would need if I were starting from scratch. Everyone is not going to have the same exact needs, wants, and necessities when it comes to starting van life from scratch. So these 10 Things videos are my personal opinion based on how I live this nomad van life, based on the things that I find myself using on a regular basis. Now, I have more than 10 things in my toolbox, but these would be the 10 things that I would start out with if I had to, for some reason, buy tools all over again, say I lost all my tools. These would be the 10 things that I would start with for my toolbox. And it's probably the 10 things I use the most living this lifestyle. They are in no particular order. Let's get started on the 10 things that I would buy if I had to start all over from scratch with nothing but an empty toolbox or bag. Number 1. The first thing that I would get would be a drill and a bit set. I find myself drilling holes all over the van. I find myself, you have to start a hole in some kinds of material, some kind of wood. You need a beginning hole, just a pilot hole, because it's hard. And with me, I don't have really strong grip. You guys know I have a joint condition. So sometimes it's hard for me to actually hold a screw and a drill at the same time. It's hard for me to push on the drill at the same time because that requires me using muscles and joints that are not very strong. And so I almost always drill a pilot hole of some sort just to get it started for that screw to have some, teeth to it. Number 2. Definitely a Grommet kit. Now, Harbor Freight sells these, and I almost always get mine from Harbor Freight. I think out of the 4 Grommet sets I've had, all 4 have come from Harbor Freight. I definitely use my Grommet set on numerous things. You buy shoe pockets. Maybe your shoe pockets are too long, so you cut a couple of them off, or you only want 1 row of shoe pockets, so you cut the top row off or the bottom row off. You can make grommets on the top of the part that you cut off because it only comes with grommets on the very top. The other 4 don't have grommets, or 5, depending on where you get your shoe pockets. So you want to have grommet holes on the other parts so that you can hang it up. Easy peasy. Number 3. You definitely need a flathead and a Phillips head screwdriver. One of each, or if you have the fancy smancy one that has the head you pull out and it flips over, you've got a flat on that end and a Phillips on the other, even better. Now you can get the set where you've got the different size flatheads and the different size Phillips, but I think you need just the standard Phillip and flathead. Sometimes your drill is not charged. Sometimes you can't get into a spot with an actual drill. It just might be too tight of a spot and you just want to get a screw out and you just need to go out and break out that screwdriver, and sometimes you just need it. Number 4. Now, when we're talking about basic tools, you can't go wrong with having a hammer. Now, I would put hammer / mallet I don't find myself using a mallet as often. I think when I was putting my tent up, occasionally I used the mallet that came with it, but I think I have since lost that mallet. But a hammer, definitely. If you the head of the hammer, if you use the flat part of that, you can often use that as a mallet to strike a wider surface instead of the round head part that you normally use on a hammer. Number 5. You want to get a multi-size set of self-tapping screws. Ooh, say that fast 5 times. So they come in the little kit. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, eBay, wherever. It's just a little box, and it's self-tapping screws, and they come in all lengths. Number 6. You want to get yourself a socket set. Now, I have had to buy different sockets depending on what van I'm in, starting from Not Your Mommy's Van all the way up to probably Taurus. I've had to buy socket sets depending on what, chair I was taking out, or what seat I was taking out, or what bolt I was taking out of the floor that was, previously put in by the manufacturer. Number 7. Now, you can not go wrong with having a magnetic tray and the magnetic screw finder, little telescoping. Both of these, again, Harbor Freight, your best friend for little things like that. So the little magnetic screw finder, it's a retractable, and you drop a screw in a tight spot working on the engine or something. You just telescope that out, stick it down there, and pick up that screw or that bolt. I'm just saying, it's perfect. If you're working like I was working, pulling a lot of screws out of the walls and stuff here, just dropping them in that magnetic tray. I usually keep all the screws I take out. A lot of the screws I took out of Mona while getting ready to paint. Now, I didn't patch holes. I just slapped the paint on the walls. It is what it is. But all of the screws that I took out, majority of them were self-tapping screws. So I kept all those screws. I tend to keep all of the screws that I take out of vehicles when I'm dismantling the parts that I don't want. That has really saved me, because I haven't had to buy screws in a long, long time unless I really need something specific. I really haven't had to buy many screws. Number 8. A tape measure. As you know, my latest tape measure is a cute little frog tape measure, but I also have a small little 6-foot tape measure that I got at Home Depot a few years ago that I keep in my purse. Because when I'm out somewhere, you just never know if you're at a thrift shop or somewhere. I always keep measurements of things that I'm looking for, and I keep my tape measure with me, because if I'm at a thrift shop and I happen to be looking for some sort of thing to use in my van, I keep the measurements of what I'm looking for, and if I find something that I think will work, my measurements are there, and I can measure it on the spot and decide if it's something worth getting or not. You just need a tape measure if you're going to be doing any kind of, even a no-build build. You need to know how much space you have for those plastic drawers from Walmart. You need to know the measurements of them and know the measurements of the space you're going to put them in. So you just need a tape measure, even if you're not actually building anything. Number 9. A wrench. You're definitely going to need a wrench of some sort. I don't care what kind of wrench it is, but you're going to need a wrench. Sometimes you need pliers as well. I would probably put wrench and pliers together. At least one basic wrench and one basic set of pliers. You're good to go. Number 10. Number 10 would be a wire stripper / crimper. If you're going to even remotely have solar or do any kind of wiring, so definitely have yourself a wire crimper and stripper. Now, of course, you might want the fittings and all that for it as well, but this is going to depend on, all what you need. Those are the 10 tool things that I use the most in my Nomad VanLife journey. And if I were to have to replace my tools starting from scratch, those would be the 10 things that I would start with so that I could build out and maintain my van in the very beginning. Again, I have more tools than that in the toolbox that I have. However, if I had to start over, those would be the 10 things that I would use. Again, go in the comments, let me know what 10 things you might use or what you might add or take away from this list of 10 things. Everybody's needs are going to be different. Everybody's van life is different. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's tool knowledge is different, and everyone's tool experience is different. Would I like to have a saw? Yes, but I've done fine without having a saw. one of these days, I am going to definitely get me a reciprocating saw, a jigsaw, something. I'm going to get me a saw at some point. Thank you, channel partners, for all that you do to make this channel all that it can be. I appreciate each and every single one of you. And thank you to my new channel partners. I see you. Don't worry. I'm going to get your name up on the list ASAP. Don't forget to be good to yourself, be kind to others, and whatever you are doing, I hope you are enjoying it.